Sandra, that bike looks great. How did you get the money to buy it?
Thank you, Miguel. I am very happy with it. Ever since I was a little girl, my grandfather always repeated the importance of saving. He kept saying, "A penny saved is a penny earned."
I, on the other hand, have never saved. But how did you manage to save with so many things to pay for?
Of course, Miguel, it was not easy. At first, I did not know where to start. And I am single, I live with my parents, although I took care of a lot of things around the house. But I decided to educate myself on this. I began to understand how much I earned, what I needed to pay my bills, compared it to my wants, and so then I decided how much I wanted to save each month. That gave me a clear direction, and I was no longer discouraged.
I feel a bit silly for not even knowing where to start. I confess that I don't even know how to make a budget. And if you ask me how much I spend on the house, I don't know either. What I do know is that I almost never have enough money.
Don't worry, Miguel. The important thing is that you want to learn and improve your financial situation. We all start from scratch at some point, and you are already taking that first step.
If the first step is to want to learn, I've already taken it. When I saw you with your new bike, I was encouraged to ask you.
That is right, Miguel. Remember that if we learn to plan our finances, we can work every day with more motivation to achieve our dreams.
I want to buy my own house for my family. That is my dream.
Okay, so let's get to work.
But first, let's take a ride on your bike.
Okay, well, hop on, Miguel.
Welcome to Cultivating Equality, Stories of Women and Men, an audio learning program funded by Fyffes. Cultivating Equality was developed to raise awareness and promote understanding of gender equality in the company's operation, including both staff and suppliers. Each chapter will be an opportunity to learn about gender equality and business. As we move along, you will discover the opportunities that arise when we cultivate equality. Prepare to learn and grow together in our audio learning program. Money is part of our daily lives, but how well do we actually manage it? Before we dive in, let's do a quick checkup. I'll ask you 4 key questions. Please keep track of how many you answer yes to. Do you know exactly how much money you need to live? Do you know how much money you will receive this month? Do you save a specific percentage of your earnings? Do you spend less than what you earn? If you said yes to 3 or 4, great, you're on solid financial ground. If you answered yes to just 1 or 2, don't worry, you've got a golden opportunity to improve. No matter where you stand, this chapter is packed with practical steps to help you take control of your finances and boost your financial peace of mind. You might be wondering, why does Fyffes care about how I manage my money? What does personal money management have to do with gender equality in the workplace? These are truly great questions. And in this chapter, we're connecting those dots. Remember that Fyffes has 2 goals on gender equality. The first one has to do with generating awareness, training you. And the other one has to do with closing the gender pay gap in the operation it directly manages. Closing the gender wage gap is a key step towards economic equality at Fyffes. But if we truly want to build a more just and equitable world, one that extends beyond the company and its stakeholders, we need economic and financial equality in every aspect of life. And that's where personal finance comes in. It's more than just managing money. It's a powerful tool for self-empowerment, especially for women. For this conversation on personal finance with gender perspective, we have with us Pablo de La Vega, Financial Controller at Fyffes for Ecuador and Belize. Pablo, welcome. It is a pleasure to have you with us.
I'm honored to be part of this program. Thank you, Carolina, for the invitation.
So please tell us, what is personal finance?
Think of personal finance as being the boss of your own money. It is about understanding the money that comes into your hands, whether from your job, a small business, help from family, or renting something out, and then deciding wisely how you use it, how much you spend, and how much you put aside for the future. It's good to remember that money can come from different places, and it is smart to try not to depend on just one source. It is like not putting all your precious eggs in one basket. It is about making decisions on how to use our financial resources to achieve our short and long term objectives.
So, in other words, Pablo, personal finance is about how we manage our money on a day to day basis. So, why is this so important for every single adult?
It is important for everyone because knowing how to manage your money gives you power over your choices today and your security tomorrow. This can bring great peace of mind. For women, especially, understanding and controlling your own finances can be a huge step towards independence and being able to build the life you want for yourselves and your family. It means you are in the driver's seat. When we understand how to manage our money, we can achieve our goals. It could be like buying a house or a motorcycle, as in the opening story, paying for your children's education, or simply enjoying a comfortable retirement. Personal finance also helps to create a plan to achieve our financial goals. When we understand how to manage our money, we can also avoid debt. This is very important because debt can be a major burden, both financially and emotionally. So, if you're going to get into debt, please do it in a responsible way, for which you must be very organized. Avoid falling into debt traps. For example, be very careful about borrowing from neighbors, as it can affect relationships if the loan is not repaid. Also, be careful of friendly neighbors who offer loans with high interest or aggressive repayment requests, as this could be signs of loan sharks. So, knowing that we are in control of our finances gives a great peace of mind. That is very, very important. When we have a solid financial plan, we feel more secure, less stressed about money. This builds financial security for your future.
So, Pablo, this is very important for anyone, as you mentioned, but it's even more important for women, especially when we see these statistics, because more women report domestic violence. So, financial education for women and also girls takes another dimension. So, women who have this information, and most importantly, that they apply these tools, have the power to leave an abusive relationship if they wish to do it.
That is a great point, Carolina. When we don't have a plan for our money, it is not just about missing out on buying something nice. It can lead to real stress, like debt accumulation or feel insecure about the future. And as you said, for some women, financial independence can be a lifeline, offering a way out of difficult or even dangerous situations like domestic violence. Knowing your money and having some control over it can provide safety and choices.
So, Pablo, now let's dive in into the tips or best practices that you can share with us to improve personal finances.
There are many things we can do. I want to share with you a simple guide called the 50-30-20 rule. Imagine you have $100 or the equivalent in your local currency. So, about $50, half of your money, goes to your absolute must haves. Let's say food, your family, rent, or housing cost. Then about $30 go for things that make life a bit nicer, but are not strictly essential. maybe leisure activities, vacations, trips, celebrating birthdays, Christmas, or a bike maintenance. And then about $20, and this is super important, it is for saving or investing. Think of it as paying your future self. This is very important. I will repeat it. Think of it as paying your future self. This money is for unexpected emergencies or for building bigger goals. The amount depends on our individual goals and financial situation. It is important to save money for emergencies and for long-term goals. Even if we can save small amounts, they can grow over time. Now, it's also important that we have to remember that this is just a guide. Your numbers might be different, especially if money is very tight, but the important thing is to think about where your money is going. For this rule to work, it is key to create a budget.
So, Pablo, what is a budget?
Well, Carolina, a budget, I have to say, because I work with that, sometimes sounds like a scary word to some, but it's really just a simple plan for your money. Think it like a map that shows you where your money comes from, your income, and where you want it to go, your expenses and savings. It helps to see if you are spending in line with what you earn and if you are moving towards your financial goals. It is not about stopping you from spending, but about helping you spend smartly.
And what tips or practices can you share with us so that we can actually control our monthly expenses and savings in a simple way?
Okay, in a simple way, the first step to controlling your money is knowing where it goes. If you have a bank account, for example, the bank's app on a phone can help, but even a simple notebook works perfectly well to track costs. So it is important to know your situation. What you don't know, you can't control or manage. So it is important to be aware of your bank account balance. Again, don't worry if the 50-30-20 rule doesn't fit perfectly right away. The rule can be adjusted to your current situation. So it doesn't have to be always 50-30-20. It could vary depending on the situation. So this is very important, because if you feel uh, like you are in a tight situation, then you can adjust the rule. So the other thing, when you know your situation, you can plan ahead. Try to make a simple spending plan before the month begins. This is important to do it in advance. So it could be the first day of the month, or it could be before the month begins. So you have the visibility for each new month that is beginning. Another tip is that you have to write it down, because sometimes you have like ideas, you have goals, but it's important to write it down so you can use a simple notebook or Excel template. On one side, you write down all the money you expect to get, so it could be your income, and in the other side, you list where it needs to go. It could be savings or it could be expenses. Now, if you prefer to do it manually, there is a trick. It is called the envelope trick. So you get few envelopes and label them. You can label them like one envelope for food, you have other envelope for rent, other envelope for school, other envelope for savings, and like that. So when you get paid, you put the cash for each into its envelope. The goal of the cash envelope system is to only spend what is in your envelopes for the month. It really helps you to see where the money is going and stick to your budget. And also another tip could be, now that everybody is using the cards, debit cards, try to set spending limits or organize your bank accounts so when money goes in, a little goes to a savings account automatically. So you don't overspend and you stick to the budget.
That is fantastic. I've also heard that depending on the country, there are different applications as well. So we have options to track your money from envelopes and papers and notebooks which is the way my grandmother and my mom used to do it, or actually she continues to do it that way. But if you're more into technology, you can usually use an Excel sheet if that if you're comfortable with that, or there are actually applications that allow you to include every single expenditure that you have and organize a bit. So I guess the main message here is that the tools are out there. Just make sure you choose the one that's more suitable for you, because at the end, the objective and the goal is exactly the same, is to know how much money you're earning and where is it going. Is it spending? Is it emergencies? Or is it savings? So at the beginning of the conversation, Pablo, you mentioned that the personal finance also involves savings. And we said it was 20% or $20 of the 50-30-20 rule. Could you talk to us about on what sort of things or investments do you save?
That is a great question, Carolina. Savings are like a safety net for life surprises. We save for those just in case moments to have an emergency fund for peace of mind. It could be like medical emergencies, urgent repairs, unexpected expenses. So basically, that is the purpose of having these 20%.
Because things do happen in life, right? Like maybe your
Yes, exactly.
tire, needs repair, then the TV breaks, or especially in very hot weather, the air conditioning stops functioning. So these things you just need to solve right away for life to continue. You also mentioned that personal finance also involves investing and paying off debts.
It is important to use that 20% for paying off debts before you can invest. So while not all debts are bad, it can be a major burden if there is not a plan to repay it. Having a plan helps you to know when it will fully repay. Once free to debts, you could use the 20% to invest. Investing our money can help us make it grow over time. This is important to research and find one that fits our needs and objective, because we have different options in the market, different options that could be suitable for us. So it is very important to do the research and to see the benefits and what is the best option that we can choose.
Pablo, in our region, so Latin America and the Caribbean, it's very culturally ingrained of having your own house, right, or having your own plot of land, and that's the dream for many of us, right? Having that space that we call our own. What would be your recommendations on how to choose that, where to buy?
Yes, that is a good point. Instead of paying rent, then that money could go to pay the mortgage, the loan, and it could be a benefit in the future. So it is important to see what options we have in the country, and if there is a benefit, if there is a subsidy, so then we can get that benefit, and then we can get the benefit of having the house in the future.
Pablo, I think that's very important. You just mentioned become knowledgeable, right? Like becoming informed, whether it's because of the government subsidies at the national, at the local level. And I think also stop being afraid of banks, become acquainted with banks, have the conversation, learn about what they're offering and what best suits you and your family. That's one of the key things of becoming a practitioner of healthy personal finances, is to become knowledgeable of your own finances, but also of the possibilities in the market. And if we have debts, how can we pay our debts faster?
Okay, as I mentioned before, there are different methods to pay debts faster. The important thing is to have a plan. This is very, very important, and be consistent with payments. There are two methods. We could use the snowball method if the idea is to pay off your smallest of all your loans as quickly as possible. Once the debt is paid, you feel a win, and then you take the money you were putting toward that payment and roll it onto the next smallest debt. Another method is the avalanche method, This focuses on paying off debts with the highest interest first, while making minimum payments to the other debts. This approach helps minimize the total amount of interest paid over time. The most important thing is to have a plan and stick to it, even if you start with small extra payments.
Pablo, now you've given us guidelines for savings and paying off debts. And you've also mentioned different investment possibilities. You've mentioned somebody can buy a plot of land, or they can buy a new house. Or if you have a new house, you can build or expand the house, either building new rooms or building new floors. And that research is very important, that it is important to know what are the available opportunities and really become knowledgeable about these subjects. But here I want to ask you, are there any differences in the way women and men invest?
Oh, great question. When we look at the investment performance, it is interesting. Studies often show that women can be very good investors, statistically speaking. For example, women often invest in what they know. This does not mean that they are risk averse, but it does mean that they are much more aware of risk. I believe that in part they are more aware because they have a lot of experience managing their households, and they are very clear that all their decisions are guided to achieve or maintain the welfare of the family. That knowledge, that intuition has often been passed from generation to generation, from mother, grandmothers, or aunts. This practical experience is a real strength when it comes to managing and growing money.
I think another main difference is alcohol consumption, Pablo. Often in Latin America and the Caribbean, we hear a lot that men get paid, and a great proportion of these men spend their salaries on alcohol, and then they don't bring home the full salary. So having these behaviors, these addictions affects not only the physical health of men, but it affects also the well-being of these households. So, because less women consume alcohol and have the temptation, the habit, and the social forgiveness of having these behaviors, then women really are very focused on the well being of the family instead of only providing for their own pleasures, which I think is a gender role as well. So these are two very different narratives, right? With different consequences. And here again, the importance of redistributing the burden of care in households and promoting a level playing field for women to enter and to remain in the world of work on equal terms, combats and peers. So, what is your opinion about digital cards and debit cards, or just the general digitalization of our lives?
Yes, as you say, digital banking, using your phone or computer for banking, can seem a bit scary if it is new, but it is just a tool to make life easier. We could say that it offers different benefits like saves time and effort. Digital banking provides convenient ways to pay the household bills and to fund savings plans, both without the need to visit a bank branch, which saves your valuable time. Now you know that moving from one place to other in a big city takes a lot. So this is a really good option to save time. Now it is important to get rid of the fear of digital. As you said, now we are facing this digitalization. So it is important to start simple. If you have a bank account, I urge you to enroll in digital banking. Ask someone at the bank to help you set up the app on your phone, and if you have one. And then they can show you how to check your balance or make a payment. We have to learn and focus on the benefits. We can download the bank's app to see what are the services that we have available and understand why they are safe. For example, you can block your card in the app if your purse was stolen. That is a good benefit. And also, many things can be paid by online banking. And the other benefit is that we build a record. If we have a history of timely payments, that help us to build a credit history, which later it is a benefit and help us to in case we need a loan from the bank. Online banking offers several benefits, including also the 24/7 access uh, and potentially lower fees. And regarding controls and security, online banking offers also really good fraud detection system. That is very important, and that we have to be very aware and very careful. So that is also one of the benefits that we have with the online banking, with the login security, with the passwords, with the updated software. Banks also employ security measures like encryption. So that is also these tools is helps to have that certainty that the management of the money.
Online banking is a reality. It's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And it resembles a bit like when you're learning to ride a bicycle, right? At first, you're scared of it. You really want to go fast, right? You really want to gain or reap all of the benefits, but you need to get on the bike. You need to bike. You need to get acquainted with it. And you need to wear your helmet, right? So, this is sort of like online banking. It's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. You need to go to the bank, learn and practice a lot, opening, closing, checking your bank statements. The more you practice, the more you become comfortable with it. Please always call your bank or go to the offices to get all the support you need. There's many banks now in Latin America that also provide online tutorials, so they have videos on YouTube on how to use the app. And if you feel that's not your way of learning, please look to younger generations. It could be your nieces, your sons or daughters or tech savvy that can actually help you set up all of these things on the phone while you become comfortable with using these tools. So, Pablo, to close this chapter, I want us to talk about three widely held beliefs about money. The first one is that money does not bring happiness. The second one is the belief that with the minimum wage, it is impossible to save. And the third belief is that women are bad with money. They're just not good at this, which is something you've touched upon lightly previously.
Okay, if I may, I will start with the last belief. That idea that women are bad with money, that is simply not true. For example, my mother was the one in charge of the household budget. And even when we lived with a tight budget, she managed to always meet the family needs. And this is, I see it all the time. Women are often the ones making sure the family's needs are met, stretching every bit of money. And it is not about being man or woman, it's about having the knowledge and the confidence. Women are often very skilled, practical money managers. Regarding belief one, money does not bring happiness. That is right, yeah, but it does bring security and stability, and they are very similar because stability allows you to do other things. Remember, small savings, big rewards. So every little bit step forward, maybe this week you could try putting aside the cost of just one small thing you usually buy. Regarding the belief too, with the minimum wage, it is impossible to save. I must say that while it is hard, there is no doubt, it is possible to save. Even if it is not possible to save 20%, as the rule recommends. Remember that we said before that it should be flexible. So with organization and discipline, a little saving can be done because depending on the situation, sometimes it would be difficult to do the 20% saving, but uh, saving 20% might feel impossible, and that's okay. But the truth is, even saving a tiny amount regularly can make a difference over time. Think of it like this is if you can put aside just the cost of one soda or one small snack each week. It adds up, even $1. The habit is as important as the amount, especially when you are starting. A useful tip is to try to automate any saving plan as much as possible. Getting back again to the digitalization, which I call paying yourself first. This means as soon as you get any money, you put a small amount aside for your savings before you pay any bill or spend on anything else. It is done even before you pay any bills. For example, if your workplace offers a savings plan, or if you are in a country that offers tax benefits on voluntary pensions, let's say, then try to arrange that your employer transfer that amount to be saved. Let's say it's not 20%, let's say it is only 10% to the voluntary pension, which is a long-term savings plan. The other part of your savings, perhaps 5%, can be done at the start of the month as soon as the salary is paid. This second savings fund is to meet family emergencies. That could be an example. So that is how, even with a tight budget, even with if it is not possible to keep the 20% that is recommended by the rule, it is always possible to do that saving, to do that tiny step toward the financial independence. So is very good to be and to be aware that in order to get this done, we need to be consistent and to be disciplined.
I think that's such a great example of saving on spending on that snack or on that soda, which is usually packaged and ultra processed foods, right? So this links back not only into strengthening your pocket, but also into improving your health and that of your family. So I like this finishing touch because it shows that all of the chapters that we've brought in this program are linked together. And if you start doing the little tips and practices of this chapter, for example, with this example, they link back to other ones and will bring greater benefits for you individually and for the families as well. So, Pablo, thank you very much for joining us in this chapter that has introduced us to personal finance. And I very much would like to thank all of the examples and the easy tips that really motivate us to apply this in a consistent and rigorous way in our lives. And also for reminding us that we are all learning and that it is just a path, and that the more we adapt all of these good practices, we will have a stronger and more robust personal finance that gives us security and happiness today and also in the future. So thank you, Pablo, for joining us.
Thank you, Carolina. It was a pleasure. And yes, it is important to talk about these things openly and to share some ideas, some tips that help in money management. So thank you. Thank you very much.
To wrap up, let's review these 3 powerful takeaways. First, the 50-30-20 rule works for everyone. Women and men can use it to manage their money wisely. Second, your financial future is in your hands. The choices that you make today will shape your stability tomorrow. And third, make it easy. Use tools to plan, save, and invest. Last but not least, financial education starts early. Here are 3 simple ways to do it. Show your kids and teenagers the value of money and time. Teach them how to shop smart. Help them understand the financial system by opening a savings account and explaining that ATMs don't print money. Money needs to be earned and managed. And I'll leave you now with this thought from Harv Eker. Financial success is no accident. You must educate yourself, understand finance, and plan your investments. thank you to each and every one of you who is listening. Infinite thanks for your time. Infinite thanks for your attention. And see you in the next chapter, where we will continue to cultivate gender equality.